Hello YouTube, I know, it's been a while. A lot has happened in my life and I had to put my art journey on hold for a bit. If you watched my last sketchbook storytime video, you know that I had broken my leg at the beginning of last year, on top of which I also had to move half across the world to Seoul in late February for my study abroad semester. So, still walking on crutches and with 2 packed suitcases, I somehow made it to South Korea last year. Ironically, I filmed this video, which you're seeing right now on screen, exactly 1 year ago, right before I was leaving for Seoul. But I never managed to edit and upload it because once I arrived in Seoul, I was occupied with managing my studies while still being handicapped by my broken leg. But before leaving my home, I wanted to paint something on theme for where I was moving to, so I thought of water, of koi fishes and lotus flowers. I've been to Seoul before and what inspired me most there was the nature. I was also inspired of a painting I did a few years ago for a Draw This in Your Style challenge. I like to repaint old paintings of mine to see how my art style has evolved over time. And for this, it's interesting to see how I use different colors and composition. For this artwork, I used my trusty old watercolor sketchbook, which you've seen before when I started a new sketchbook last year, which I still haven't finished yet, but I'm working on it. I'm really sad that I wasn't able to keep making art consistently. While I was studying in Korea, I did paint a lot and I bought so many art supplies there. I even filmed some art supply haul videos, but they've been banished to the vault and they will probably never see the light of day. Right now, I'm finishing my studies and have to think about what I want to do next. I know that I've been dying to get back into art and I've been painting a lot recently off screen and experimenting with different art styles and art supplies, which I hope to share with you soon. But for now, let's get back into this painting. At this point, it has been quite a while since I painted portraits, so I tried to use my trusted old simple approach of 2 layers. The first wash for the general skin tone, and on the second layer, deepening the skin tone and adding details around the eyes, nose and lips, which I call the clown face, but in the end, it will look good. You know, as the saying goes, you gotta trust the process. For the shadows, I add a light blue, which in this case was ultramarine blue, but sometimes I use cerulean or even a phthalo blue. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you know I'm not the biggest fan of painting flowers and I'm still not happy how they turn out, but you know, practice makes perfect, so I force myself continuously try to incorporate flowers into my paintings. Now, the biggest challenge for this painting was adding the water background because it needed to go on top of some parts of like the hair and the fishies. So it looks like everything is partially submerged underwater. For this part, I used my favorite dark blue pigment, as you know, PB60. I let the painting dry completely and then comes my favorite part of this process, which is adding the finer details with fineliner, colored pencils and white gouache at the end. This can be quite a tedious process if your painting is really detailed, but for me it's one of the most relaxing part of the painting process. I used to try and add these finer details with a super small watercolor brush, but it didn't quite work as intended, especially around the eyes, nose and lips. You need more subtle details. For example, if you want to add lashes, it's kind of hard to do that with a brush, even if you use like the tiniest brush you can find. But after switching to this method using fine liners, colored pencils or ink, it completely transformed my watercolor paintings. They look more crisp and detailed now. Another thing that's also quite nice when you add your final touches with colored pencils is that you can add more color variation to your portrait. Lastly, I added white gouache around the fishies and water reflections to make it more visible that it's supposed to be a pond. I have these white jelly roll fine liners, but they never ever work for me, so I switched to using white gouache with a small brush. Now, the lines are definitely not as crisp as I would like them to be, but the fine liners just never work for me. I still haven't found a good white opaque pen yet, so if you have any recommendations for me, please let me know in the comments. And here's the final result. I'm incredibly happy with how this turned out, especially considering I painted this with a broken leg and immense pain. I really wish I had stuck with my art journey on YouTube more consistently last year, but life had other plans for me. Thank you so much for watching and for joining me on my art journey here on YouTube. I really hope to see you again soon in the next video. Bye bye!